You think you know why Germany lost World War II. The Atlantic Wall, the Eastern Front, the atomic bomb. But there was something else. Something the Wehrmacht officers never saw coming until it was already raining down on them like the wrath of God himself. American artillery could fire 12 shells per minute from a single howitzer. 12. The Germans? 3. Maybe 4 if they were having a really good day. And when the Wehrmacht finally realized what was hitting them, it was already too late. Let me take you back to June 1944, Normandy. The beaches are secured, but just barely. The German High Command isn't panicking yet. They fought the Soviets. They've conquered France. They know warfare. They know artillery. Or, well, they think they do. See, in the German military doctrine, artillery was a precision instrument, calculated, methodical, each shot carefully aimed, carefully timed. The German 105mm LFE H-18 howitzer was a masterpiece of engineering, accurate, reliable, and crewed by some of the most disciplined artillerymen in the world. But there was a philosophy behind it. German officers were trained to believe that quality trumped quantity. Every shot mattered. Every shot was planned. Fire for effect, not for volume. Now, imagine your Oberst Friedrich von Miller, a composite of dozens of real Wehrmacht officers who experienced what came next. You're dug in near Carentan. Your intelligence reports say the Americans are green, inexperienced. Sure, they have numbers, but numbers don't win artillery duels. Skill does. Training does. You've been fighting since Poland. You've survived the Russian front. You think you've seen everything war has to offer. You haven't.
July 11th, 1944. American forward observers spot your position. You hear it first, that distant thump of enemy guns. You've heard it 1,000 times before. You order your men to take cover. Standard procedure. You'll count the shells, calculate the battery size, and return fire. This is what you've trained for. The first shell screams in, impact, explosion. Then the second, but it's faster than it should be. Then the third, fourth, fifth, and they just keep coming. Your ears are ringing, the ground is shaking. You try to count, but you can't. You physically cannot count fast enough. Shells are impacting every 5 seconds, every 5 seconds. From what sounds like multiple batteries, but your spotters are screaming that it's only one. Just one. This is where the story gets dark and forgotten. The Americans had developed something the Germans never anticipated. Not a new weapon, not better ammunition. Something simpler, something terrifying in its efficiency. They called it the time-on-target method, but that's not what broke the Wehrmacht spirit. What broke them was the M2A1 howitzer and the men who operated it. See, American artillery crews trained obsessively on one thing: speed. Not accuracy in the German sense, not careful aim, pure, relentless volume of fire. Each 6-man crew was drilled until they could service their gun in a synchronized ballet of organized violence. 12 rounds per minute wasn't theoretical, it was standard. But here's the thing, the history books don't emphasize. The Americans didn't just fire faster. They fired in massed batteries, 4 guns, 6 guns, sometimes entire battalions, all firing at 12 rounds per minute, coordinated, overlapping, creating what veterans on both sides called steel rain. German after-action reports from Normandy describe something that sounds almost supernatural. Officers wrote of continuous explosions, of no interval between impacts, of being unable to move, unable to think, unable to do anything but press themselves into the earth and pray. One captured German artillery commander was interrogated in August 1944. The American officer asked him what surprised him most about fighting the U.S. Army. His answer, translated from German, "Your artillery. We could not believe it. We thought our intelligence was wrong. 3 shells per minute is normal. 4 is excellent. But your guns, they never stopped. Never." But it gets darker.
The psychological impact was worse than the physical. German soldiers were trained to time artillery, count the shells, wait for the pause, then move. That's how you survive a barrage. That's how you've always survived a barrage. But there was no pause, no gap, no moment to run, to rescue the wounded, to reposition. You just endured, or you died. Medical records from German field hospitals show a massive spike in psychological casualties during and after Normandy. Shell shock, combat fatigue. But the symptoms were different from the Eastern Front, more severe, more permanent. They've been broken by something that shouldn't have been possible. And here's the detail that history forgot. The Americans weren't even pushing their equipment to its limit. 12 rounds per minute was the sustainable rate. For short periods, well-trained crews could maintain 15, even 18. The M2A1 could theoretically fire until the barrel melted.
So what does this mean? Why does this forgotten piece of military history matter? Because it reveals something fundamental about how wars are actually won. The Wehrmacht lost because they prepared for the wrong kind of war. They built an army that valued precision, discipline, and tactical superiority. And in many ways, on a man-for-man basis, they had those things. But the Americans understood something the Germans didn't. Modern war isn't won by the best soldiers, it's won by the best system. American artillery doctrine wasn't about individual gun crews being heroic. It was about creating an industrial process of destruction. Training that could turn farm boys into efficient components of a larger machine. Logistics that could deliver hundreds of thousands of shells to the front. Communications that could coordinate entire divisions. The Wehrmacht brought craftsmen to a factory fight. And this philosophy, this industrial approach to warfare, this is what won the Pacific, what won Korea, what defined American military doctrine for the next 80 years. Those Wehrmacht officers who survived Normandy went home and wrote manuals. They told stories. They tried to explain to the next generation what had happened to them. But how do you explain being buried alive by steel? How do you convey the helplessness of facing an enemy who doesn't just outfight you, but outproduces you? 12 shells per minute, that's one shell every 5 seconds, for hours, for days. The Wehrmacht never knew it was possible. Until it wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. The Last Stand, where history's darkest secrets come to light. What forgotten story should we uncover next?